Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Maylin. I know it's been many months since I last posted, and I wanted to make a video just to talk about my experiences doing summer internships. And my hope is that by the end of this video, that you know kind of what summer internships um, are available as an undergraduate and how they can be helpful if you are interested in research. So to start, I first learned about summer internships in STEM from my local SACNAS chapter. SACNAS is a national organization in the US that stands for Society for the Advancement of Chicanos, Hispanics, and Native Americans in Science. And my local chapter had a presentation, and they talked about research experiences for undergraduates, or REUs for short. And an REU is basically a summer program that can last anywhere from like 6 to 10 weeks. And they usually have a research component where you work with a professor or in their lab group doing a research project for the summer. And then they also have a professional development component where they may teach you about how to apply to graduate school or do tours of different companies to kind of introduce you to what it is like to work in industry. It can really vary, and these REU programs are at many universities across the US. For me at the time, I was a freshman and I did not have any research experience, but I knew that I wanted to explore research in college, and I noticed that um, increasingly it's becoming a requirement for a lot of graduate programs that students have research experience before entering into the program. Another factor is that I didn't really have time to do research during the school year. And I'm also a low-income student, so I usually had to work during the school year, and a lot of research positions that I saw were not paid, and so it was really hard for me to do research during the school year. So one alternative to like doing research during the school year is to do it during the summer. And if you're interested in a field that is a bit outside of like maybe what your school offers, you can find that at other institutions. So one example is I was really interested in exploring bioinformatics and kind of the intersection between biology and computer science. And there wasn't a lot of opportunities that I was seeing at my home university to do research on that. And so I wanted to apply to different programs around the country. I think that when I applied, there was like the part on my CV where I really wanted to highlight the skills that I gained from my previous experiences and in education, but there was also the personal statement where I just really tried to speak from the heart and talk about how much this opportunity would mean to me and how I would want to use this opportunity to further opportunities for other undergraduates at my school. The timeline is usually fall when applications open, and that can be October, November, and then they're usually due in the winter. Some maybe due as early as December, but usually it's January or early February, and then the results usually come out in March. Um, and they can be really competitive depending on the program. And so I think I applied to 8 or so. To break down what the application looks like, typically there's your personal statement or sometimes a list of questions. It can vary, but a lot of times they include things like describing your passion for research, why do you want to go to this program in particular, and if there are any particular professors that you want to work with. And so I think what was helpful in my application was trying to see what made the program unique when I was reading their website. The program I went to at Caltech, I think something that was unique was that there was like student faculty dinners, and also the opportunity for learning about how to apply to graduate school. And so I mentioned those things in my application and talked about how I was really excited for them. And then I also identified 3 professors. I did some searching online and tried to see what professors were doing projects that I was excited about. So that's the personal statement portion. Then there's usually your transcripts, and it's okay if you had some times when you struggled academically. I definitely had that where there was like a quarter when I was getting rental assistance and I was struggling to make ends meet, and I just had to do what I had to do. And sometimes studying for the exam kind of was a lower priority than making sure I could pay my rent that month. And so I tried to talk about that. Sometimes if there's an option, they may say explain any circumstances where maybe your grades weren't as you had hoped. But other times, if there's not that opportunity, you could talk about that in your personal statement. And I think that resilience and perseverance can actually be really um, good qualities in an applicant. So you definitely don't have to be perfect and you don't have to have a 4.0 GPA. The other aspect of the application is your CV or your resume. Resume is usually your one-page sheet that talks about why you are kind of the best candidate for the job and is very skills-based, whereas a CV is more like your whole academic summary, and it can be as many pages as it needs to be, and you can really elaborate on that. If you'd like me to talk more about resumes and CVs, I can definitely make a video about that. So if you'd like, you can put it in the comments. Um, and then the last aspect of the application, so we talked about personal statement, transcript, CV or resume, is the letters of recommendation. And I think that letters of recommendation can really highlight who you are as a researcher and why you are a really strong candidate for the program. I try to think which people in my life could give a different angle. And usually you ask professors, and usually professors in university that you're going to. If you have had research experience, that can be great, and you can have your principal investigator or PI write a letter of recommendation for you. But you can also have someone from a class that you've taken and really spent time with in office hours, and you can have them write a recommendation about maybe how you really engaged with the material and ask questions and are excited about the field. And I think overall there's like usually 2 or 3 letters of recommendation. We went over kind of how I learned about REUs or research experiences for undergraduates and the different parts of the application. And finally, I just want to share kind of some of my experiences that I've had in 2023. And I went to Kenya to do agricultural research, and I was doing kind of a microbiology project on how we can use sound waves to disinfect agricultural wastewater. And that program, I had no expectation of getting into it. I wrote it the day of. Please do not do that. But I think I just um, thought to myself, like, okay, I'm just gonna set a timer for 3 hours and write from the heart about how much I love soil. And I remember the day when I was reading my email, and it was like 9 p.m. on a Sunday, and it was cold, and I had just grabbed my groceries, and I got a notification on my phone, and it said congratulations, and I just remember feeling overwhelming sense of joy. And so I think those acceptances make it all worth it. It definitely is a long process, and sometimes it feels like you're applying to college all over again. But I think that there's definitely a program out there for you, and I think those times when you get accepted, they're just really joyful. I think that I felt a lot more confident afterwards to talk about science, and I could really see myself as a scientist. From REUs, you can go on to present at conferences. So I had the privilege to present at 3 national conferences. One was a industry conference. It's called the Aquaponics Conference. Aquaponics is where you combine aquaculture and hydroponics to grow food. And then I went to the annual Biomedical Research Conference for minoritized scientists and the Emerging Researchers National Conference. And I won an award. I won second place at the Emerging Researchers National Conference. And I think those experiences I never would have had if I hadn't applied to this REU in Kenya. And I just want to let all of you know that you have a lot of value, and that even if there are doubts like, oh, I don't think I'm the right student, or it's the application is due in 2 days. I can tell you it is possible. Um, but yeah, I think um, I just think that when you are passionate about science and you just write from the heart, that to the reader, it's really apparent. Then after 2023, I had been exposed to some workshops at conferences about bioinformatics, and I was really curious about it. And I thought, okay, I think I want to try this out. And so I applied to some more internships in 2023 for the 2024 summer. And I think I applied to 8 or so again, and I got accepted to Caltech. And I remember I was in my room and I was just like, I was speechless. And I think in coming back from the internship, I definitely gained a lot of valuable insight into what it's like to do bioinformatics work, and how to apply to graduate school. And I met some amazing friends. So hello, if you're watching. Um, but I think it was like a really good time. And I got to go to California and swim at the beach, and that was just such a highlight. So all that to say that you can travel the world with internships, as I went to Kenya. You can also go to sunny California, and that these opportunities are out there. I but we'll try to leave, like, a link in the description of one website you can look at to start, searching for these internships. A lot of them are funded by the National Science Foundation, so their website is a good place to start. But if you are attending any conferences in the near future, there will usually be exhibitors at these conferences who maybe are from universities or from companies that are looking for summer interns. And so that can be another great way to find out about these conferences. And I am happy to share more if you all have more questions. Feel free to put them in the comments, or if you want me to create some more content about resumes and CVs, I'm happy to do that. So I know that was a quite a long video, but I hope that you all have an amazing day. Um, and yeah, okay, bye.